What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Home Tour Podcast. It's me, Hunter Mitchell, joined here with my co-host.
Justin Chen.
And as you may notice, our other host is missing today. Old Braxton Dore is out. He's feeling that spring sickness. So Justin and I are carrying the load today.
On Valentine's too.
On Valentine's, yeah, convenient. Yeah, he's sick today. Yeah, sure thing, bud. Okay, pal. No, Braxton's got his boo thing, but we'll give him benefit of the doubt for now. We'll see what happens come Christmas time. We'll see how many episodes and stuff he's missing, so you have to keep a watch on him. But we've got an important time of the year, super fun time of the year, especially in College Station. Baseball season is hitting off.
Whenever I was trying to type my heat, I was like, I want to say like a pun, but there's no pun. Like you can't kick. I was so lost.
Pitch, I don't know
what's like hit off
or like first pitch. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's probably gonna hit me like a sack of bricks whenever we're done with the podcast, like what the term is. But stump me for now. Either way, we've got Aggie baseball this weekend, and I mean, been a very eventful offseason after I think most people considering year one, Jim Schlossnagle. You make it to Omaha, farthest A&M's ever been, and keep that almost essentially that entirely same squad. And only, like you make it to regionals, but, don't make it out of the regionals. I think some people were really disappointed in the outcome. I think there's high expectations for Aggie baseball. And this year's no different because you lose a lot of pieces from last year, but man, did Schloss go in the portal and
he reloaded.
He reloaded, yeah. It's not a rebuild, it's a reload. Because he picked up some serious pieces in that portal. And I mean, to just off the cuff, landed the best player in the portal, Braden Montgomery, who...
Oh my goodness, bro. What a way to reload,
Yeah. Who beat A&M in the regional prior, and then you pick him up.
And back-to-back College World Series, the number one transfer prospect, if you pair him up with Jace Laviolette, it's gonna be insane offense. I don't know. I'm very excited to see what he's gonna bring to the table. Obviously, a lot. So
yeah, that outfield's gonna be electric, and we'll talk more about those other pieces as well. But just his career accolades. Two-time Pac-12. Stanford won the Pac-12. He was all conference.
Freshman of the year.
Yeah, freshman of the year in the Pac-12. You scroll down his accolades list. You could write a book about it. It's crazy. It's nuts. And he not only does he's an amazing hitter, he can pitch too, and he can his number. He's got good stuff. Some of his numbers are a little skewed last year, but against A&M, he went 2 1/3 with 3 strikeouts. So he's super big utility guy. He's got an amazing bat. Really good defender, really good outfielder, has the ability to step in on the mound, which paired up with new pitching coach Max Wiener, who is coming in with a crazy pedigree as well. What blows my mind?
What's that?
And I have to look at and verify that math, but he is so young.
Yeah, no, he's only what's it called? I think he's only like a junior, but
Max Wiener.
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
Yeah. No, Max Wiener is, dude. I'm 22. He's 28.
He's basically more or less just coming off from college, basically.
I'm still a dependent on my parents' taxes, dude.
Dude, he's going out there and he's coaching these studs,
and he's the pitching coach in the hardest division in college baseball.
And he started in 2018. Like as a pitching coordinator for the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
So he's been doing this since what? If I do the math correct, 23. Dude,
man,
what a career so far.
And then you look at who he's brought up in that Mariners organization, and if you're an Aggie, it kind of makes your mouth salivate. Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Aggies will recognize this name. Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, wherever he was instrumental, and him coming in with that pitching staff. That again, we'll hop on that later. But there's just so much to indulge on for this team. But maybe he can come in and Braden Montgomery can really be that I'm not saying he's going to be this good, but it's just the comparison. That Shohei Ohtani
Yeah,
type.
I didn't want
I
to
know.
say
I'm not saying that he is going to be Shohei
maybe like
Ohtani.
a small shade of it.
Like
It's
in
like a
like
small shade.
esque, like where
Yeah.
he can pitch well and he can hit well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he's going to be the generational talent.
2.0. You heard it here first.
Yeah, that kids are going to be growing up saying he's the greatest baseball player of all time. I'm not making that claim. I will be bold, but I will not be that bold. But just in the style that he can step on the mound, and some days he's giving you 3-4 innings of really good work, and then other days he's out in the outfield and he's giving you, he's hitting the ball well and giving you good hitting performances. Just that kind of player for you, I think, is huge to have. I mean, and then you go back on the infield now and got real crazy experience. I think one of the players I'm most excited for, especially because in the Cape Cod League, which I don't know if you're aware of the Cape Cod League,
I do not.
it is probably the best league, summer league baseball. Like it's where players go. It's where the really good players that aren't on like Team USA or whatever. That's where they go. They go to the Cape Cod League. It's
Interesting.
like
Okay.
it's filled with starting college baseball players essentially. Like
Mhm.
it's like the for real serious summer league. And Ollie Camarillo went there this past offseason and was great. I mean, and that just kind of shows. I mean, you look at his stats when he was at CSUN, and it's like,
Insane.
I mean, hitting 371, which is huge. Fourth in slugging, hit 611.
He finished
I mean,
second. What's it called? His 371 was good for second. Like that's.
yeah,
Oh my
that's
goodness.
it's huge. I mean, like he again, this is another one of those things where you can just take any number and you just kind of get super excited. I mean, he's 6'1". He's got a good frame for a shortstop. Filling in that spot that Hunter Haas filled in pretty well, if I would say so. Last season, all Big West first team. I mean, not surprising to really anybody. He's really stepping into that long line of shortstops that have had a lot of success at A&M. I mean, you look like in the history in the past, you've got like Hunter Haas last season, and then stepping back a little bit, you've had like your Braden Shoemakes as well. So like there's that shortstop position at A&M has always kind of been one that has been sneaky good. And I think he has really the ability to step in there and be that guy, be one of those really good shortstops like that you look back on in at A&M. And I mean, and then filling out that infield, you got Ted Burton.
A huge Michigan guy too.
Yeah. And I mean, his numbers are also, you want to talk about experience, man? This guy's numbers are crazy. He has started all 56 games last year. And I think if you go back, I think he's only like never played in like a small handful of games his entire career.
That's good. It's like 60 games per season basically.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
it's he's got tons of experience. And I mean, and his numbers aren't like they're not like off the wall, but I mean they're
It's still consistent.
I mean 301 with 13 home runs. I mean that's nothing to scoff at.
And I mean he's leading the team in home runs. Like
yeah,
that's
exactly.
like yeah. So.
And so like he's got really good solid stuff, and I think that experience, that infielding experience is so underrated just because there's so many little things that can go wrong in that infield. I mean, outfield, you have your occasional, like, someone calls a ball, someone charges in, misses it. Like, don't get me wrong, errors in the outfield happen all the time, but so often, and I think many Aggie fans who look back 2 years ago, even that team that made the College World Series, dude, that was errors upon errors all over the place. And I think that was what really frustrated people a lot with that team. But I think, Burton comes in with that experience he has on the infield. And you look at good players, we'll talk about Ryan Targach as well coming up. And then you've got Burton coming in, giving that experience. Because there will be a little bit of youth, it looks like, on that infield for A&M, but you got the experience in Camarillo, you got the experience in Burton, you got the experience in Targach. I mean, I think that's a really solid group you have there in that infield, which is just so huge for them, because keeping those errors down, I think, is what is what could elevate them, especially when you look at how good that team 2 years ago was, even with all those errors. I mean, you look back at that and think, what could they have possibly, what could they have been more if they would have gotten those under control even more? So,
And it feels like we with all the transfers like coming in, it feels like we have harped on those errors and whatnot. And I feel like I don't want to be the dead horse, but I feel like it's similar to softball where we're coming back even stronger. I feel like with all these strong transfers. I mean, it's just I'm very excited to see what this season entails.
this is why I'm a huge transfer portal fanatic. I'm sorry. I know there's truthers. I know there's truthers that hate the transfer portal.
They're not loyal to their school.
Yeah, and it's free agency for college sports. Yeah, it is. And that's why it's awesome. That's why it's so awesome. That's why it's the best. Because who follows their professional team and is like, all right, the season's over, just got to sit around? No, you're looking like, okay, who are we picking up in free agency? Like, who are we getting this offseason? I mean,
that's fair, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're running back with the same people over and over,
exactly.
It gets old.
You're like, oh, okay, like whatever, But then like now you're like, college sports, you get your recruits, and you're like, okay, that recruit's crazy good. But then you're like, okay,
transfer portal. Oh, who's in the transfer?
And transfer portal's nice because you can see what they've done with college experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's one thing to look at a recruit. Some recruits don't shape out because like you get a really good guy from a 2A, 3A, and you're like, this guy's going to be a stud. But I mean, he's beating up on Southwestern Episcopal Baptist School, and it's like, everyone there is 5'3", and it's like, yeah, he's
a stud. He's next up.
Which not saying that they also can't come in and be great too, but I feel like there's even more uncertainty for people coming or players coming from recruiting versus transfer portal. I think that when they have that, even if it's like a group of 5 experience, I think a lot of times, I mean, like you look at college basketball, some of the best players around are group of 5 players who have moved up to that Power 5 ranking.
It's always the small schools, just like what's it called? I think a couple years, in that lower level or whatever, just refining their game and then moving up to next is so like huge for them.
Yeah, I mean, like look at the guy who just hit that buzzer beater against A&M last night. Vanderbilt, Ezra Mignon. He was 3 years at UC Davis. I think back Arkansas a couple of years ago. JD Note, he was at Jacksonville. I mean, like that's basketball, but I mean, like A&M's kind of done the same thing as well in past years, and so in baseball. So I think that the transfer portal, I love it so much, frankly, because I mean, think how awful you felt when the Bucks got Damian Lillard, and then think how amazing I felt. It's the same thing, but for college.
Yeah, no, I was so crushed. I was Kobe hard at that. Anyways, I don't want to revisit that tragic day.
Oh, God.
So yeah,
that's my tangent on the transfer portal. I love it so much, and it allows you to get immediate experience just instantly. You got that senior, you got that third, you got that fourth year senior, you got that graduate who they've played the game, they know the game. You're plugging them in, they're ready to go. And I think teams that are in that win now mentality are really good, as A&M is, and bringing in the recruits they want, the recruits they need, and then also going to that portal and pulling people in and bringing them in and getting them committed. Because I mean, another one in that outfield, that third outfield spot, Hayden Schott.
I was gonna bring him up because he's coming from Columbia. Also, my friend's from Columbia, so. I don't know. I looked at that. I was like, "Wait a minute." It was just. I don't know. It was a huge trip, but
you got a friend who goes to Columbia.
Yeah.
What do they major in?
I think bio, some in bio.
You said
bioengineering or something, or biochemical. Some I don't know. He got a full ride. I was like,
"That's crazy,
bro." Yeah, I was like, go off. And,
yeah, good for him, man. Never. Negative.
Yeah, no, that's I don't think I would, be in Columbia for
that's crazy.
All 4 years. But anyways, to each their own. But again, if you look at Columbia, it's not the biggest school, but he what's it called? Like he's coming, he he tied the team in home runs, ranked the top 10 in Ivy League in every single basically category, batting average, slugging percentage, OPS runs, hits, whatever you want to name. He was in the top 10 basically, and he tied the He was basically just like the top dog in Columbia. So, even if it's not like a Braden Montgomery, we're still getting people from like a small school who are still at the top of the game. So,
and he was academic all district team.
Really
Smart guy.
2 for 1 then.
Smart guy. Yeah, I mean that transfer portal class A&M has coming, it's huge. I mean, like if you can get them to gel, like I keep harping on 2 years ago because that was kind of the same instance where new team, lot of pieces coming in. You had Cole Kaler from Hawaii. You had Dylan Rock coming in, who that was he was kind of like your glue guy, kind of like your stud guy. You had Troy Claunch coming in from Oregon State. I mean, you had a lot of transfers coming in that had to fill these roles and fill these spots, and it's kind of the same way now. But I think that A&M and Jim Schlossnagle have kind of already notarized themselves that now they're landing again, like these Braden Montgomerys, Ali Camarillos. Then even behind the plate, I mean, you've got Jackson Appel, who will probably be, it seems like, will be possibly competing for that one spot with Max Coffer, who, Jim Schlossnagle was pretty high on last year. So, I mean, the transfers coming in are going to be, they're going to be one of the main highlights this year. But I also think when you look at who is still here, I think is another, is going to be a really big storyline as well, because you have some big bats and some big arms still here from last season. And, of course, the elephant in the room is the third
the stud.
Yeah, third outfielder spot. I mean, one of the best ranked MLB prospects, led A&M in home runs as a freshman last year. Mr. 502-foot home run into Wellburn. The one and only Jace Laviolette. I mean, what a stud.
Basically his accolades speak for themselves. And again, if you pair him up with Montgomery, I'm just excited to see what those two can work. I mean, already in the preseason, those two have racked up every single basically accolade imaginable.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both on SEC preseason teams. This could be, I'll say this now. This could be one of the best outfields in the country.
I mean, I think those two are top 10 for outfielders in the country, like in preseason.
Yeah,
so it's already the best, or not the best, but it's one of the best tandems.
And then you have Schott filling in that other spot, who is experienced and solid in his own right. I think it's legitimately one of the best outfields hitting wise in the entire country. And then filling up that infield, you got Targoch, the Hallettsville Hammer. Grew up about 45 minutes from where I'm from,
So it's basically your hometown, basically.
Hallettsville's a small little town. It's I don't know the actual size, but I mean I drive through it every time I go. I come from Victoria, where I'm from, to College Station. Only place I've ever been pulled over to. So really not super
it's not
fond.
Too fond.
Yeah, I really have a little bit of disdain for Hallettsville. Not Targoch, not the Hallettsville Hammer. That's a good it's a good name, but Hallettsville don't have the fondest of memories there. The Brahmas. You know what a Brahma is?
I do not.
It's like a, I don't want to say weird cow, but it's like a cow with like a big hump.
I don't think I've seen that on my way to College Station yet.
It's like let me see. Pull a picture for you.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, you see it? Yeah, that's a Brahma.
Dude, I thought that was like a ram or something.
No, it's a yeah. I don't know what utility the hump does or has, but they've got it. So yeah, so that's a Brahma.
What a creature that is! Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of agriculture lesson. Home Tour Podcast got a little bit of everything. We've got biochemistry
from Columbia,
agriculture. But yeah, I mean, gets the number 12 this year. 12th man. Big number for him. Big shoes to fill. But he's one of those bats that you want to see him get going more consistently, but the power is there. I mean, when he hits over the fence, it's not going to be grazing. It's going to be
scorching out of there.
Yeah, you're going to be watching it bounce off a rooftop or hit into a street or into someone's seat in the stands. Like, it's not like there's it's unanimously no doubters whenever he gets a hold of a ball. But I think it's just getting more consistency, and I think if he does get that consistency, I mean, it could really be that 3-hole, 4-hole hitter that is just racking up RBIs with his bat.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And,
and,
oh, sorry, you go.
oh no, I was just gonna say like even like if he's not in that 3-4 spot, I mean, someone that can hit consistently with this powerful of a hitting lineup down at that bottom, and maybe even like a 6-7 C or 7-7 hole kind of hitter where you're kind of cleaning up a little bit. I mean, I think you could put him anywhere in the like hitting rotation if he is hitting more of those singles, hitting a few doubles, getting more ground contact and just getting on base more. I think,
Mm-hmm.
because he also had a little bit of an issue sometimes last year with the strikeouts as well, which comes in the territory of those power hitters a lot of
Yeah, no,
times.
it's like if you hit it, you hit him. If you don't, I
Yeah,
mean, it is what it
a
is.
lot of times you see it in the majors. If a guy's a power hitter, it's
Just
usually
loading up.
it's usually feast or famine. Either they're tanking it or they're swinging it and hitting dirt. So it happens, but a little bit consistency there, I think, would do a whole lot for that for that infield hitting. But I think he's played second, he's played first. Whatever he plays this year, I think he'll be great at where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
And then a newcomer that is actually not a transfer that we haven't talked about over at third, old Gavin Grahovic.
Yeah, I was actually just about to bring him up. We have these like older guys who are more experienced, who are the number one transfer in the portal, and then we land another 5-star young guy. I think he was the number 2 outfielder in California and number 10 in the country. I mean,
Yeah.
he's already tabbed as the preseason SEC Freshman of the Year.
Which that speaks for itself. Number 55 overall prospect, easily could have gone
Anywhere but
yeah,
A&M.
yeah, anywhere but A&M, including into the pros. Frankly, I mean, he really could have. I mean,
Mhm.
he just he had those kind of numbers. Chose to come to A&M. Will almost certainly fill in that third base spot. And I know a few people who are work with the baseball team and whatnot. And they tell me he's for real. They say
Oh my goodness.
he's legit. They say it may be a little bit to where he gets like warmed up possibly, but
I mean, still, yeah.
we'll,
I mean,
we'll
that's
see.
everybody.
We'll see how long that warm up is. It may be 1 or 2 games even before he's kind of catching his stride. But a really really big powerful bat, and that filling in that hot corner spot too is huge because that third base spot is one of the toughest spots to fill in. They come at you quickly there, and to have up that repertoire there and filling in as a freshman, I think is gigantic. And then over in the catcher spot, coming back again, Max Coffer, who not the best hitting season last year, but really was hitting a stride, especially in regionals. And in regionals, he looked like a completely different hitter, like a completely different player. And him and Appel probably going back and forth. I would really love kind of a more consistency in there because I think the catcher kind of forms your almost like your quarterback for your baseball team. So I think that whoever they decide to roll with, I hope they just roll with them. I think that was what gave A&M a lot of consistency 2 years ago with Troy Claunch. He was almost every game was that it was him. And so last year, you kind of had Coffer, Bard, Gregson kind of bouncing around a little bit. So whoever it is, I hope they land on. I hope they stick with them. But I think you've got 2 really solid options back there. You got the experience in Appel, and you've got the potential with Coffer, who's already had 1 year. At A&M, was the youngest player in all of baseball last year.
Jeez.
Yeah, which is, and he said he heard that plenty. So,
I think it's called like a wonderkind, right, or whatever. It's like someone
Wunderkind.
wunderkind. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of how it was. I mean, a lot of hype around him coming in, and then we kind of saw what his potential was set to be late in that season. So it'll be interesting to see how that spot shapes out. And then getting back to pitching, a lot of really solid potential there as well.
Yeah, I think for left-handed, or we have sophomore. What's it called? Sophomore Justin Lampkin and Tanner Jones. I mean, I think they're both in the top 100s for pitchers already. So
Yeah, and then you've got coming back like you mentioned Lambkin, and then Shane Sadeo as well, who got you really, really good minutes and really good innings last year. As freshmen, sometimes it's kind of tough to go in
and just like immediately perform off the bat.
yeah,
Yeah.
but now kind of caught the stride a little bit. And then Troy Watson coming back, who also was kind of hitting his stride at the end of last year.
Hmm.
Almost pitched a no hitter in the SEC tournament.
Insane.
Yeah, so it's you've got a lot of. I think the main thing is a lot of potential in that bullpen, but
Hmm.
it's seeing how Max Wiener takes them and really molds them into being those type of guys where
It's just like consistently going after it. And speaking of which, I mean, it's a perfect way to start the season with smaller school or not necessarily bad, but like smaller schools like McNeese, UIW, Wagner. It's a
yeah,
perfect time to just like
especially
experiment.
especially with how crazy that SEC West gauntlet
It's
is.
insane. Like
Yeah, like you almost are playing with fire if you're scheduling too many good teams in the offseason because you've got that. I mean, you go 500 in conference play and you've almost certainly made the tournament, which is just crazy to be perfectly even wins and losses and you're making the tournament. So,
hmm
I mean, you lose Yeski to LSU, which I mixed feelings. I think a lot of Aggies have a lot of mixed feelings. I mean, he is historically a really good pitching coach.
hmm
Didn't feel like he really caught his stride at A&M. Then Max Weeder comes in, who is young but has a boatload of potential and has already trained up a lot of really good young arms.
hmm
And then you've got like Sadeo, you've got Lampkin, and then like you mentioned, transferring in from Jacksonville State, you got Tanner Jones,
hmm
who another really good arm there, and then another one that I'm really excited for, Eldridge Armstrong from San Diego State. His numbers kind of wild. He as kind of like a big arm in the bullpen.
It's a perfect
Uh,
name too. It's a
was
perfect name for the for the position.
was yeah like yeah, no. Oh my god, I've never made that connection.
I was like, wait a minute, that's
I
it.
didn't
Like
even
that's
I
perfect.
didn't even think about that. Yeah, but he's kind of fills in that bullpen role. I don't think he has much starting experience, but like his arm when he has played has been huge. I mean, last year
Ooh,
he had let's see this innings pitched. He pitched 41 innings last year, 46 strikeouts to 15 walks.
that's insane.
Nuts.
My goodness,
Crazy. And then 5 wins to 1 loss.
that's crazy. Like efficient too, man.
Yeah, just it's a big arm there. And I think that just some consistency is what's needed. I think the best teams that compete the most and make it to Omaha are ones that have 1, 2 elite or borderline elite pitchers
Hmm
that like Wake Forest has, where you've got a guy that can go out there and almost consistently give you 5, 6 innings every weekend.
Uh-huh.
Just a guy who can go out there and he's gonna a very extreme example because he was probably the best player in college baseball last year, but like your Paul Skeens, where it's like you're not gonna hit him, or if you are, you're only gonna hit him a
Like
couple of times
yeah, yeah.
before we got to replace him.
Hmm
Um, I think that's what A&M has missed, especially I think a lot of Aggies have been missing it because you look back at the Rob Childress era before Jim, and I mean that's what he was known for. A&M produced pitcher upon pitcher upon pitcher. I mean um, you look at like your Christian Roas, you look at your Bryce Millers, just a lot of really really electric pitching. Asa Lacey, I think so. That's why like the hitting has been substantially better under Jim Schlossnagle, but I think the pitching is something that people have really been yearning for, like a really solid performance from them
And
consistently.
I think this year is it's a perfect way to
Mhm.
go back to those ways. We have
Yeah,
the staff and the players to do so.
yeah, and I think
It's all
this.
there.
I think it's a lot of potential. We'll see how that potential shapes out.
Yeah.
But I mean, the bats are pretty well established. They just have to keep doing what they've been doing, at their respective schools or what they did last year at A&M. But I think that the biggest X factor this year will be that pitching staff. So that breakdown of the team there, all that information. What is your prediction for this team this year?
Ooh. I'm so like enthused. I wanna say a repeat of that season 2 years ago. But I wanna see the Aggies in the College World Series for sure. Like that's
I'll say, what, I'll jump on that with you. I think that there's a lot of writing on the walls. I'll say Omaha as well. I think that
can we win it all? Ooh, I mean
we'll see. We'll see. I think a lot of people thought that last year too. So we'll really see. I mean, it's just baseball's one of those weird sports where you can be one of the best players one year and then
next season just not as strong.
So unlucky sometimes with where the ball falls. It just happens like that. So I think the biggest X factor will be that pitching, and can they find one guy who really steps up? But Justin Lampkin, I think, is a name to watch for in that pitching staff, and we'll see where they go from there, where they go forward, how they progress. But in terms of progression, ours stops here for this episode. This has been another episode of the Home Tour Podcast. I'm Hunter Mitchell.
I'm Justin Chen.
And we will catch you all next time.